Okay. So I welcome you all to the first live session of this course titled Applied Positive Psychology. So the basic idea behind this live session is that since these courses are pre-recorded, most of the all the lectures are pre-recorded. So the students may have many doubts. So this live session is mainly aimed at clearing your doubts, or if you have any questions on whatever has been covered till now. So, so there was a Google sheet that was given for asking questions. So I have received few of these questions. So before I get any specific questions here live, I will just try to address some of these questions. So one of the question or query that came in the Google sheet is that I think many questions were related to exams, what will be the pattern of questions and so on. So question was like, what is the expected level of questions, difficult, medium, easy for final exam paper? So the questions are in the final examination, all the questions will be in the MCQ format, and very similar questions like whatever we are giving you in the assignment. But in the final exam, obviously the questions will be from all the modules. So you should not skip any module. Questions will come from all the modules. And there will be some questions which are a little bit of thinking based. Some question will be very direct and so on. So there will be a mix of difficult, medium and easy questions. So the level of question will be kind of mix of all these level of difficulties. So that is what will be the pattern in questions. So the pattern of the questions are very similar to the assignment questions. So there will be question and 4 options. You have to choose one right answer that is given. So that will be the general pattern of this question. Another question was asked, sir, what are some under-researched or emerging themes in positive psychology that might have strong potential for doctoral level work in India? Now, in general, this is like a very personal question. So you are asking about your PhD topic and so on. I can talk about it, but the problem is this particular live session is aimed at clearing doubts about the content related to this course. So there are this positive psychology itself is a very new emerging subdiscipline within the psychology. So all the areas are like, there is still a lot of scope to contribute to each of the areas that we're discussing in this course. So there are a lot of scopes to, do research work in the field of well-being, in the field of happiness, in the field of, resilience, in the field of, all kinds of like post-traumatic growth, whatever topics that we're covering. Still, there are a lot of scope to contribute research, particularly in the Eastern cultural context, because most of the research that are there in the positive psychology are from the Western perspective. So still we can make a lot of contribution by studying positive psychological concept from the different cultural perspective, whether the same phenomena works in the other cultures or not. So that is where a broad, research level contribution we can do, particularly understanding positive psychological perspective from the specific cultural perspective through the lens of a particular culture and so on. So I'll not go too much detail into that work because it is not directly related to this course, but in terms of doing doctoral work, every topic that I am talking about, still there is a lot of scope to contribute. And particularly more research needs to be done from the cultural perspective, from the different culture, where the similar findings are there in the other cultures or not. That is a very interesting. Some studies people are doing, and I think we should do more research in that direction. So a few live questions are coming, so I will address live and some of the already asked questions in the Google Sheet. So just one question: how much is the internal assessment will help in the actual exam? So there will be some questions which are which will come directly from the assignment also, but that will be not like all questions will come from the assignment. But there is a small percentage of questions that may come directly from the assignment. No? But you have to, but the patterns of question will be very similar to the assignment. So in that context, for the final exam, you need to prepare concepts and understand concept from all the modules. Mofia is asking, is it online or offline? So the question, I think the exam will be in the online format, but it will be proctored exam, like you have to go to a center and it will be in the online format only. Tanushri is asking, sir, is there any way to communicate with you regarding PhD topic in this area? This class is for doubts related to course content. So for PhD thing, other thing, I think it's difficult to address this thing here because PhD is a completely different, that is research oriented discussions. I'll not be able to address if you are interested in doing PhD in this particular subdiscipline. I mean, probably you need to connect in some other time or through mail and so on. Abhiram is asking, sir, can I get previous question papers? This is the first time this course is launched, so there is no previous question paper available. And you don't have to worry about previous question papers. Go through the handouts. If you have doubts, go to the lectures and try to understand how things are explained. And still, if you have any doubt, there is a Q&A section in the portal. You can ask question directly. I will try to address them. Echoes of Samprit is asking, sir, question will be MCQ type? Yes, question will be MCQ type in the final examination also. Questions will be very similar to assignment question, but in the final exam, there will be a mix of some direct questions, some thinking based questions, and some medium level questions. So there will be a mix of easy, medium and difficult. Difficult question, I will not say difficult because it's a very subjective thing, but maybe some thinking based questions also. James Zeru is asking, how can we expect the questions? Don't worry about what type of questions will be asked. No? Just try to understand the basic concepts that are discussed. Go through the assignment and handouts, whatever is given. I think it will not be a difficult. So you will be able to attempt. If you have to understand the broadly most of the basic concepts that I'm discussing, questions would be from those concepts only. Somebody asked, sir, is this can be doing research on diagnosis with cancer patient? I could not understand what is your question here. Diagnosis of cancer patient is a very, is a medical thing, Positive psychology has nothing to do in terms of diagnosis. But in terms of coping with the disease and other things, positive psychology can contribute. But diagnosis is a very medical stuff, no? Okay, so if you think I have not understood the question, you can rephrase your question. So let me check some of the other questions that are asked. What is the therapeutic aspect of positive psychology? So there is I think the last module of this course is on application of positive psychology in the clinical field. So there in detail, I have discussed how positive psychology actually can contribute to therapies, psychological therapies, counseling, and so on. So even though there are many therapeutic models are available, counseling models are available, in all these existing models, positive psychology can be integrated. So positive psychology is more like an approach where, it can be integrated in the existing psychological field. So positive psychology can be integrated in the social psychology. It can be integrated in the organizational behavior. It can be integrated even in understanding understanding personality and so on. So it's more like an overarching, framework, positive psychology, rather than a separate, discipline. So it can be integrated in all the existing, psychological subdisciplines. So there can be positive psychology application in the clinical psychology, in the organizational psychology, in the social psychology, in the cultural psychology. It can be integrated in all the different branches of psychology. And in this particular course, the last module is about applying positive psychology in the clinical and counseling psychology. So I think you will get your answer when you go to when that particular module will be discussed. You will try to attend that lectures of that particular module. So there I have discussed in detail how positive psychology can contribute to psychotherapies and counseling and so on. Someone asks, how can we reduce our negative emotions? So these are very general kind of questions. One can say a few things about such questions, but it's always better to address such questions with certain context. So what is the source of these negative emotions? So we cannot give a very general answer to everybody. So if you ask, how can we control my emotions? How can we reduce negative emotions? Then there are certain general things we can talk about it, but it is always better to discuss such things in the context basis. So if I understand what is the context of your question, what is the source of your negative emotions, so then it is much more easier and it is much more tailored answer can be given. For negative emotions, so many things. In fact, a lot of the things that we are discussing in this course are directly connected to reducing negative emotions only. Now, negative emotion is not always bad. We should understand this. When we say negative emotion, there is always connotation of negative in it. And we think it is a bad thing. No, emotions in itself, it's neither bad nor good. It is about how you are expressing it in what context. So sometimes negative emotions can serve purpose in life, and it can help you in doing certain tasks and so on. Sometimes it is good to vent out negative emotions, but obviously it has to be in the right context. If you do vent it out on as a revenge on somebody, obviously it is going to have a repercussion and so on. Negative emotions sometimes also can, may lead to transformations and so on. So there are so many possibilities to it. So we should not just bracket it out as like negative emotions are bad and so on. But the idea is the frequency of negative emotion should be less, and more number of positive emotion we experience on a daily basis as compared to negative, it is better. So I have also discussed in one of the lecture that there is something called as a positivity ratio, which says 3 positive emotion against 1 negative emotion is good enough for well-being, enhancing well-being in our life. So if you experience 3 positive emotion and in, let's say, lump sum, and you experience 1 negative emotion, that is fine. What is happening for a lot of people, negative emotions are more in number as compared to positive emotion, then obviously your life will be colored or tuned very negatively, because most of the emotions are tuned towards negativity and so on. So that will impact your well-being and so on. So the idea is not to eliminate negative emotion, they also serve their purpose, but the thing is that enhance the positivity dimensions of your experience in life. So the more you experience positive emotions as compared to negative, not like completely eliminating it, then your level of well-being is more likely to be higher. So that is the idea, because well-being, one of the dimensions of well-being that we define well-being is through positive emotion, and there are life satisfaction dimension and so on, but positive emotion plays very important role. So when we ask a question like reducing negative emotion, we should understand it's not negative emotions are not like bad in a general sense. The only thing is that when people experience them too much, that is going to have a negative impact on their body and mind and their mental health, physical health, and so on. So that has to be avoided. And I think one of the modules is about positive emotions. So the more you have positive emotions, automatically you will have the lesser number of negative emotions. So a lot of some of this concept I have discussed in the lecture. So controlling emotion, also one of the important dimensions towards controlling emotion is to, look or observe your thought processes. So that is very important, because a lot of emotion, most of the emotions are connected to your thoughts. So the negative thoughts generally give rise to negative emotions, and the vice versa. Negative emotions leads to more negative thoughts and so on. So one of the simple way to control emotion is to change your thought patterns. So if you change your negative thought processes, now how to change those thought processes, it may require a lot of discussion, and a lot of models are available. I cannot discuss everything there, but the idea is try to observe when you have a lot of negative emotion, try to observe what kind of thought processes are going on. What kind of thoughts are going on? You will invariably find most of the thoughts are negative. So try to become aware that you are thinking a lot of negative emotions, and try to shift the dimensions of your thought processes. If you are able to shift those thought processes, immediately your emotions will change. So there is a ABC model in psychology that talks about it, how to observe your thoughts and how to change irrational negative thoughts into more rational positive thoughts and so on. But it needs more elaborate discussion. So I have a course on psychology of stress, health and well-being, which was generally it is slotted in the alternative semester. So there I think I have discussed elaborately. That course deals with coping and dealing with thoughts and emotions and so on. So if somebody is interested, you can take that course and go deeper into it. Somebody asked, so many questions were asked. Let me see some of them. Abhirami is asking, so let me address that cancer question. I think he is asking some follow-up questions. Sir, I shared. Sir, is this can be doing research? I have shared the question on the Google form, and it is basically how positive psychology can be harnessed for the OB and HR organization. Is it relevant, and how can we link HR and positive psychology? Again, D'Souza ji, I think there is the last 2-3 modules are about applications of positive psychology in specific context. So one such lecture is specifically devoted on organizational behavior, and it will have some relevance to HR also. There I have discussed how positive psychology has really, can be integrated in the organizational behavior and some of the HR practices and so on. So there are a lot of these organizational behavior theories and models and applications are connected to positive psychology, and a lot of research and applications are actually being implemented in many organizations. So that module will and that lecture discusses elaborately on these concepts. So I will urge you to wait for some time. When that module comes, kindly attend that lecture, and the notes, all the questions will be addressed there. And despite that, if you have any more question, you can always ask in the portal and so on. So it's about passion and coping with the cancer. Yes, so in terms of coping, positive psychology can play a very important role. For example, the building resilience is very strongly connected to coping, building psychological resources. So whenever we face any difficulty in life, be it cancer or be it any kind of adversities in life, if you have right kind of psychological resources within yourself, that plays very important role. Obviously external support helps. If you have supporting relationship around you, people around you, friends around you, that is also very good, very productive in terms of coping with difficulties in life. If you have, let's say, financial difficulties, so if you get some financial support from someone, that is also very helpful. So a lot of external support can be very helpful, but what matters more in terms of long-term coping with difficulties in life, be it let's say cancer patients or whatever it is, apart from social support from other people, it's about building psychological resources, building right kind of mindset, looking at life more rationally, and you know you know right kind of mindset, and a lot of psychological resources like resilience and so on. So I have also discussed a specific model of building resilience and so on. So those are like internal resources. So one, if you develop internal resources, and also if you have supportive external resources, both can serve very wonder in terms of coping with adversities of life, problems of life, including terminal diseases like cancer and so on. So these are like general answer, but for every person the situations are very different. So specific suggestion can be given if I know the context and so on, obviously. So these are like some general comment I'm making. For every person, the coping could be very subjective. Every person has different kinds of mindset, different kinds of resources. So answer for every person will be very different actually if I know the background of that person and so on. But here obviously I can only give you some general kind of comments and so on. So some people are saying, they have missed some of their assignments. So assignment deadline and so on is not in my control. It is very centralized, and IIT Madras team does that. So I cannot help you in any way about deadline and so on, and giving you permission to again submit something. So that is something I'll not be able to help you in terms of, if the deadline is over, I cannot do anything because I don't control all this administrative part of the course. So D'Souza ji is asking, I'm interested in doing a PhD in positive psychology focusing on organizational well-being leading to engagement and retention. Basically to find the linkage between the well-being and flourishing in individuals and groups and organizational perspective. Need some guidance and like to connect separately. So I think D'Souza ji, I think yeah, because for doing PhD topics and other thing, obviously it is, I'll not be able to address it here. You can connect me, probably write a mail, and one lecture that is devoted to organizational behavior, application of positive psychology in organizational behavior. That will give you some basic understanding of how positive psychology can be integrated in the OB. But obviously for doing research, you need more understanding, more elaborate reading and so on. So somebody is also writing after completing all the modules, could you get a revision session before the exam? So means we don't have any specific revision session as such, but what we have 3 live sessions. So this is the first live session. We'll have two more live sessions. So as such, I will not be doing any revision because these are all recorded lectures. I mean, if you want to hear it multiple times, you are free to do that. Lecture notes are already given. I mean, what more specific revisions you want? But if you have, let's say, any specific questions, any doubts, obviously live session, 2 more live sessions are there. You are most welcome to ask questions. And if you are not able to attend also these live sessions, you can ask question in the portal also. So those things are there. But there will not be any specific revision session as such. So Kasturi Kumar is asking, sir, will you please share some MBSR therapy videos? I mean, videos of therapies, I think internet you will get a lot of such videos. But the basic understanding, the theoretical concepts, obviously, I mean, you need to understand. Because MBSR is a very 8-week program, it's a very elaborate program. I mean, to understand all the nitty-gritties of it, probably you need to attend one such therapies. So MBSR therapy, a lot of these Western hospitals, they have very designated specific, elaborate sessions on MBSR. So if you are very interested, probably if you find out someone is doing or giving such therapies. I'm not a trained therapy as such for MBSR. I'm more of an academic person. But if you want to understand the details of such therapies, it is better if you get an opportunity. Either probably a lot of online such sessions are available nowadays. You can connect with some of these therapies and personally experience how this therapy is done and how it impacts you and so on. So I'm not a certified therapist as such. So someone is asking, someone has asked, I think he has missed second assignment or someone. So you are still eligible for final exam, because I think in final exam, best 8 assignment marks are taken out of 12. So even if you miss 3-4 assignment, you will be still eligible for getting certificates and so on. So in final it is taken best 8 out of 12. So you should attend 8 assignments. You should attempt at least. So Pulkesh is asking, I am a clinical hypnotherapist. So this certificate is enough for counseling practice. Pulkesh ji, please, no, this is not a certificate that can give you permission for therapies and other thing. This is just a course. We should understand this. Don't make unrealistic expectation out of it. This is just a course, 12-week course, and more specifically, it's more of an academic kind of course. I'm not like giving you practical sessions and so on. It is more like a course, but where both application and theories both are covered. So this is a course where you will get a certificate about this course, that you have attended this course or you have scored something and so on. A lot of universities, they give credit to this kind of courses and so on. Now, this is not like a certificate that will give you a guarantee for, let's say, counseling practice and so on. For that, specific programs are there. This is a course. This is not a program. So this difference we should understand. For counseling, you need to go through counseling programs or masters and master degree or something. Some degrees are there, diplomas are there, and so on. And for clinical psychologists, we have to go through MPhil program or PhD program in very specific institutions like NIMHANS, CIP, Ranchi, and so on. There they give proper practical experiences in terms of diagnosis, how to give therapies. So all the practical trainings are given there. Then you are actually eligible for practicing and so on. But counseling in India, the regulations are not very strict. So people, after doing, let's say, masters in counseling, a lot of people start counseling and starts clinic and so on. In West, this is highly regulated. You cannot just, after taking some course, you cannot directly go and start a clinic and so on. You have to get proper certification and so on. But in India, it is still not that regulated. So counseling thing is very highly unregulated in India. So people, after doing masters, they start counseling and so on. Which is okay if they are skilled enough to do that. So this is not this certification will not give you guarantee that you can be practicing counseling and so on. And anyway, this is not a counseling course. This is about just one particular sub branch of psychology, which may have application in counseling, which has applications. Sir, I have done, I think Lakshmi ji asking, sir, I have done psychology in everyday experiment in psychology and psychiatry. So good, I think there are many psychology courses in the NPTEL. I think if you are interested, you can go through all these courses. Every course will add some value to your understanding. Sumit Chejadi is asking, sir, if we miss submitting an assignment, will it affect our eligibility for exam? So Sumit, so as I said, the best 8 out of 12 assignments are taken. So if you miss maybe 2-3, it should not be a problem. So Lakshmi ji is asking, sir, can I counsel? So I already said, so this course will not give you authority to counsel and so on. But this can be an additional add-on to your skills. So if you are already a counselor, probably if you understand the perspective of positive psychology, it will help you in your profession. It will not make you. It will not make you a counselor. Sir, please explain the difference between. I think Rajan is asking. Sir, please explain the difference between meditation and mindfulness. Yes, so mindfulness is typically comes under the broader category of meditation. Meditation is a broader category where there can be different types of practices. And the basic idea of all meditation practice is to lower the chattering of the mind. So your mind is not wandering too much, so that you understand or get in connection with your inherent peace. Because so if you so I'll not go too much into it, but the thing is that when we talk about meditation, basic idea is to give a certain direction to your mind, or you learn some techniques so that your mental chatter is minimized. Because this is the mental chatter that wanders all the time here and there, that monkey mind is creating all the problems. If it is a directing, solving problem, it is fine. It is very helpful. But many times, a lot of our suffering is created by overthinking, unnecessary thoughts, unproductive thoughts. So meditation help you to control this, like channelize those thoughts and minimize those thoughts. So there can be many techniques to attain that. Mindfulness is one such technique. And within the mindfulness also, it can be done in many ways. So I think some of this I have discussed in that lecture on mindfulness. So you can go through that lecture. Sarika is asking, are all citation in this course are from books or review research paper? I have submitted all the assignment, but last two are not been reviewed. I think, I mean, assignment, I don't know what do you mean by reviewing of assignment, but you have to submit an assignment before the deadline, and then obviously then they display the marks. Write a correct answer. So you will get marks accordingly, whatever the number of correct answers and so on. So I mean, a lot of the citations that I given in the notes are connected to, they may include books also, and some of the citations are research papers and so on. These are like major reference which you can like connect with to understand some of the major ones. Not all citation I have given there, but some major citations are given in the handouts. Dennis Thomas is asking, how can we measure the long-term impact of positive psychology interventions in the real-world settings? Long-term studies are required, but control setting is tough. Are there long-term studies? There are some studies, but again, so there are some challenges in doing long-term intervention studies. Let's say you want to do some intervention studies on some participants. Let's say 10 individuals. Now you want to, if you want to do it a long-term kind of intervention, then those 10 participants has to agree that they will remain with you for your study for, let's say, 5 months, 6 months, 1 year, whatever it is, whatever the time period that you are looking at. So sometimes that is challenging, but a lot of studies have done on, let's say, certain intervention which were done months, like 5 months, 6 months, and they have found, or even brief interventions, positive psychology interventions, studies were done, and they found their impact could be long term actually. Some intervention, very short, few weeks interventions, and their impact actually remains even after 6 months, even after 1 year also. So there are studies that shows that positive psychology intervention in the real world setting actually it remains. But obviously, if you don't do something and do it just once or just 1 week, then obviously that impact may reduce if it is not continued, the practice is not continued. But research has shown there can be long-term impacts. There are many studies available on the long-term impacts of positive psychology interventions. Speak 5 is asking, sir, at last, please give details again about the course and examination attendance. So the course means, if you see the portal, the course page, all the modules are given. What is covered in each modules, everything is given in that course page. What should be the reference book that you should study, everything is written in the syllabus of the course. So some of the important books, textbook that you can read to understand most of these concepts are also listed out. Handouts, additional research paper that you can read in the handouts, such references are also given. Course examination will be MCQ type only. So all the questions will be of similar type of assignment type questions. So MCQ questions, 4 options will be given. You have to pick the right one. And questions will come from all the modules. You have to go through all the modules. So you cannot skip some modules. You know? So that is the general pattern. So reference books are very costly. I can understand, especially this West. Some of the big publishing house books are very expensive. What can I do? Some of the books actually they also publish these Asian editions, paperback edition. Try to find them. They are less expensive. So paperback edition, Asian edition, if you can find out. A lot of these popular books, they have these paperback Asian editions. They're much cheaper. Ostur is asking, will you be covering any session on overthinking? On overthinking. Okay. No, I'll not be giving any additional sessions as such. We'll have live sessions only. Can I do further studies on positive psychology? What will be the different courses? I have done MSc. I think Rajani is asking, will it help to go for post-graduation research in positive psychology? Yes, you can always go for further studies on positive psychology, provided it is available in the universities and colleges. Positive psychology, you may not find any structured program as such in India, but a lot of these undergraduate and postgraduate courses, like MA, MSc courses, will have positive psychology as one subject. Chanya is asking, hello sir, what is the most needed for counseling certificate or skills? I mean, if you want to practice it formally, you need certificate also. Obviously, skill is important also. If you have just certificate and you don't have skills, will you be able to help people? No. So you should have knowledge, understanding, skills, and as well as you need certificates, or at least you have done some courses on counseling to practice. You know, otherwise, what will be the difference between you and a layman? Anybody can do counseling. Then what is the difference between your counseling and, let's say, somebody is giving, general layman is giving counseling? Everybody gives counseling nowadays. Okay. But a professional counseling has to be different in a sense. It has to be informed by research. So you should have some certificate, at least you should have some understanding and some background knowledge and so on. So for that you need some certificate, some courses, something has to be done. Rahul Kumar is asking, sir, how to handle failure after trying multiple times for exams? Still I'm not able to score good results. It's impacting me psychologically and feeling very demotivated and now self-doubt generating. Rahulji, I generally refrain from answering very personal type of questions, but so everything boils down to this thing. Build inner resources, psychological resources, and many times a lot of this problem happens because of our wrong thought processes. I mean, what you considered as failure, it may not be a failure as such. You are giving too much importance to this thing. I mean, you may be good at many other things, and you can just carry on with a lot of things other things that you can do. So even if you get less mark in exams, is it a problem? I mean, is it like end of your world or something like that? No. It's just a passage, So let's say you are trying, still not getting What is important is you are trying, you know. So despite trying, if you are not getting good marks, that means you might have created an unrealistic expectation out of you that you have to get this mark or you have to become number one in the class. No, don't make those expectations. What is important, you are trying. That is the good part, that you are trying. No? And after trying, whatever you are getting, that is of, be happy with that. Exam results are not at all that important, you know, especially in today's scenario. You know, but you should not be like, you know, just be like negligent about it. Try hard, try to get best result as much as possible, and whatever score you get, then be happy and accept the fact that, you know, this is what you can get at the best. It is impacting you because you are making unrealistic expectation out of it. So exam is just a passage, you know, you go through it. This is not the end goal of your life. Exam pass, to get the higher good marks and highest mark in exam is not the goal of your life. No, this is a passage. Through exam you go and then you reach somewhere. No, what is more important is to find out what you need to do in life, what kind of profession you want to carry, what kind of skills you want to develop. Exam is just one small indicator. Don't blow out of proportion, you know, the importance of it. So mental thought processes, you have to make it right. Many times we have irrational thoughts, you know, this thought doesn't have any logic, but you simply feel like it. So I should be the number one in the class or whatever it is. But why you should be? There can be only one, and it's okay if you are, let's say, somewhere in the mediocre level. What's the problem? Or a moderate level, what's the problem? Success is not done connected to exam results. So nowhere it is shown any data that shows, no, only people who are toppers get success in life. Probably we have more examples of people who are not doing good in typical exams and they are doing much better in the life. So this is just one aspect of your life. Don't make it that important. But the good thing is that you are trying. So you try, and whatever happens, you know, accept that the fact that this is the best I can do. So how to build positive evolution. So Rahul has asked many questions that are connected to that. So this is a, in a nutshell, I can tell you about these things. So Sarika is asking, sir, in upcoming modules, is there any chapter on childhood trauma and adult psychology with reference to positive, or do you have a separate course? So I don't think there is any specific mention on child trauma and so on. So another course, psychology of stress, health and well-being. So there is another course. There I have mentioned in one module, we have discussed about PTSD in the context of child also. So there are now certain discussions are there, but not directly in this course. Sri Priya is asking, sir, can we have more scenario-based questions in the assessment so that we can also relate and apply? Scenario-based questions. So you meant like giving some hypothetical situations and answer like that? Okay, I'll try to give possibly more such questions. So D'Souza is asking, in middle, in the Indian way or Eastern way of well-being, flourishing, and Western way are very bipolar. How we can focus more on Indian positive psychology, and are there any courses? So when we say bipolar, we are not saying directly like, you know, everything is opposite to each other. Not like this. Certain frameworks are very different. You know, how do you conceptualize what is more important in your life? So those, what is more important? So what kind of importance you give to what aspect of your life? There, Western culture and Eastern culture differs in certain things. So if you look at in the first module, there is one whole lecture devoted on Eastern and Western concepts of well-being. So there in detail I have discussed how Western culture gives importance to what kind of aspects, to consider it that my life is higher on well-being, and Eastern culture focuses on sometimes very different ideas. Now, so culturally, assignment of importance on certain things may differ. So that is what, for example, in the Eastern culture, social life could play a more important role in terms of your happiness, your well-being. Western culture, probably they don't give that much importance to their social aspect of their life. They are more of sense of their own life, sense of separate individual and so on, may play a more important role. In the Eastern concept, probably the spiritual dimensions play a very important role as compared to Western. That doesn't mean Western people don't give importance to spiritual. The only thing is that collectively, if you see, the patterns are like more number of people are oriented towards material pursuits, and maybe in the Eastern culture, more people are oriented towards, like, they derive sense of well-being from the spirituality and the religious dimensions and so on. So culture may tune your mind to give what is more important, what is given more importance in terms of deriving happiness and deriving well-being and so on. But a lot of ideas, what is well-being, and a lot of ideas could be common also. Like, relationship plays very important role in both Eastern and the Western culture. Not typically, maybe in the sense, not we're talking about social community life, but relationship dimension. How do you relate with people? Positive relationships, equally important in Western culture, Eastern cultures. So certain aspects may differ, but a lot of things could be common also, because ultimately human happiness is what, a lot of these inner aspects of happiness and well-being are, like, whether you go to any culture, it is very similar. So even though a lot of dimensions look very opposite, there can be some commonalities to it also. So if you want to, let's say, if you are more connected to Indian ways of life and happiness, obviously you can read about them, cultivate those dimensions in your life and derive happiness and well-being in your life. So it depends what attracts you more, what gives you more happiness. Accordingly, you can give emphasis on what gives you happiness. So there is no one answer to this question. What makes life worthy of living? What makes life happy, and so on? These are very, 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 very subjective questions. We can find patterns in it, cultural patterns in it, but ultimately every individual may find different things what makes their life meaningful, makes their life more fulfilling, and so on. So I mean, whatever suits you, whatever gives you more meaning in your life, is your call. So how can you focus more on Indian positive psychology? I mean, it's not a question of how can you focus more. It's more about find what gives you more happiness. Automatically attention will go there. If something touches your heart, you don't have to pay attention. Automatically attention will go there. It is only when something is not interesting, something is not connected to your heart, you have to pay attention, because then heart is somewhere else and mind is somewhere else. When something resonates, automatically attention will go. You don't have to teach. No one needs to teach you how to pay attention. So that's, I think, short answer. Yes, the collectivist and individualist culture may play a very great role since we are more influenced. Thank you. Yeah. So many times, so nowadays this Eastern and Western culture, that dimension, that the differences are also getting more blurred nowadays. Especially if you see the urban people living in the urban setups and so on. Our lifestyles are also very similar to Western culture and so on. So that these differences are getting more and more blurred in today's globalized world, where we are exposed to all globally every culture. So we all know how people eat, how people behave in the European countries, or let's say whatever it is. Earlier it was very isolated. We were not able to know much about other cultures. So nowadays this information overload and everything, is accessibility of informations is so much that we all know everything about all the other people. So that distinction is also getting more and more blurred. So many times it is that difference could be very difficult to say. Is it like this? So that difference is decreasing day by day. So I think we don't have much more time left. So some people have asked question about their PhD topic and so on. So I will not be able to address them here directly. So questions were such like how can we develop critical thinking, emotional resilience in the academic journey and so on. So developing all these requires first you need to understand the value of these things. So एक समझ होना बहुत जरूरी होता है. The first you need to understand, then obviously you need to sharpen it. First awareness, then you need to practice it. For anything to develop, that is very important. If you don't understand the importance of something, you cannot practice it. But if you understand the importance of something, then I think automatically you will know why I need to do it. So you will be intrinsically motivated. So that is something very important. Yes. Okay, so I think some people are asking assignment questions should be more of scenario based and so on. Okay, I'll try to integrate more such questions. So I think we have had quite long discussion, and I'm happy that we have asked so many questions. It's very productive. I feel also very happy when a lot of people actually come and discuss. Then I also get some feedback that you are interested in the subject. You are asking questions. You have doubts and so on. So very happy with today's session, and we'll have 2 more such sessions. You are most welcome to ask more questions. So if you have more questions, please you can ask them in the next session also. So I think if you don't have any more questions, we can stop here. So assignment, I think a lot of people, I think they're thinking maybe, they're feeling like a lot of these questions are very easy and so on. It is because, you are doing one module at a time, So because, you have handouts for the modules and I cannot ask questions outside of the module and so on. So it sometimes looks like both easy, it's very easy and so on. But when the questions will come from all the modules in the final exam, that will be the test of your understanding. So, but I'll try. I have taken your suggestion. I will try to give more like scenario-based questions wherever possible. Some direct question because the protocol is such that there has to be some assignment questions, which should also be asked in the final exams and so on, certain percentage. So I cannot make every question like which are too analytical and so on. But obviously, I can make for each module some question could be asked which are not scenario based and thinking. Thank you for the suggestions. I will try to integrate it. So thank you everyone. So hoping to see you in the next session. And so with this, I stop here. Thank you.